everyone, it's Leanne. Welcome to another video on my YouTube channel. If you caught my art haul in my last video, I purchased this pencil sharpener. This is from tgaal and it's a multi-sharpener. It says it has 5 different lead points that it creates. And so I thought it would be fun to check this out and try it on some of my pencils. I have some of the Prismacolor pencils, which are sometimes known for being prone to breakage and needing specific sharpening types or lengths to help them. So we'll check that out. And then I also have some Verathin pencils, which are also made by Prismacolor. These are with the stronger leads. I find these leads are a little bit more brittle too. So I'm curious to see how they sharpen with this pencil sharpener. So let's check it out. So here's a look at the pencil sharpener opened up. I checked these out online and they come in a variety of colors. When I picked this up, there was just the blue. So apparently this door should open and it holds the pencil sharpener shavings in here. So you can see that the blade mechanism is in there. And I believe that there's maybe like a foot piece that changes the position along the blade depending on how this wheel is set. It says that you can move it either way. It looks as though there's a housing compartment in here for the blade or for the pencil to sit in, and as you pivot this dial, it moves it up and down the blade. So that's how it determines the length of the blade. So it's within or on the underside of this mechanism in here. And this wheel changes the position and it moves that little housing inside here up and down the blade to create the different distance or length of the lead. So let's check this out. So let's start on number 1. 1 is the shortest or smallest lead point that is supposed to be created. I feel like that's going to be very similar to this type of lead point that you get when you buy the Prismacolors if they come pre-sharpened. I believe they all do. They all have this stubby kind of lead. So I'm going to sharpen this blue one. It's probably the farthest from that shape, and we'll use that as our test. The sharpener feels really smooth. The blade seems like it's super sharp. It doesn't have trouble cutting out of the wood at all. Which with my sharpener that I use right now, like this one I have here, I've kept this around. It's just a cheap little metal sharpener, and I definitely feel a difference in the glide with this one versus that one, which always digs into the wood. So this one feels really nice. Oh wow, I'm really impressed. So if you can see, the point on this is super sharp. It's very precise. So that looks really good, and it sharpened no problem. I didn't have any lead break. It was really smooth. So we'll set that aside. Let's do a Verathin to compare. So this one seems like it's got a little bit of breakage, and that's definitely a lead issue. I don't think this is a pencil sharpener issue. If you look at the comparison with the regular Prismacolor, it's nice and smooth. It's got a nice sharp point. These Verathins have a coarser, more brittle lead, like I mentioned. So I'm not surprised to see that, but I'm just going to give that a couple extra turns in the sharpener and see how that comes out. It looks pretty clean now. It still seems like it's fragile on the end, like it would be a little bit prone more so to breakage, or even like breaking off that tip, because even though it's supposed to be a harder lead, it feels like it's more coarse, like it would be more brittle or fragile. So let's try on, actually I'm going to empty this out first. So I'm going to quickly empty that. We have the shavings in there, and they're nice and tucked in, but I don't think you could hold a lot of shavings in this. I think you'd have to dump it pretty quick, but I do like the fact that I don't have to be holding it over something to catch the shavings. I like that this is contained. So let's try setting 2. This is a little bit of a sharper lead, not too much sharper, but just working up the scale. We'll try with this one here as the Prismacolor, and then we'll try the Verathin as well, which hasn't been sharpened yet. So let's check that out. I love sharpening the Prismacolors in this sharpener. It's super smooth. It feels so good. It's like butter. It truly is. And I've never had luck sharpening Prismacolors like I have with this. It's really nice. Although I've only used the little metal ones, so it's not the greatest sharpener. So these look pretty good. They both came out pretty clean. I feel like they're not far off from the one setting. It looks a little bit like, honestly, not that different. It doesn't look that different. There's a little bit more of the lead showing in number 2 than there is 1. It's really similar though. Okay, let's move on to number 3. These shavings look so cool. I just noticed when I pulled this out of the sharpener. Look how cool that looks. Okay, so for number 3, we're going to use the purple ones. We'll start with the Prismacolor and then try the Verathin. This one looks really good. I like this length, and it's super clean, nice and even. It looks really good. This one looks really good too. Again, like I noticed that the Verathin leads are a little bit more brittle, but they are coarser leads, so that might maybe even be to be expected. When I was sharpening before with my metal pencil sharpener, I found that I would sometimes have to sharpen these 2 or 3 times before I actually got a clean point where it wouldn't bust off or break at the end. I can see where there's a little bit of drop off from the lead at the barrel end when it's like that circular shape where it should be trimmed all the way off the taper of this wood. But it still looks really good. I'm really impressed with how it's sharpening them. I think they'll hold up. We'll check out when we do the swatches, but let's move on to number 4. So for number 4, we have a green Prismacolor and a orange Verathin. So it's getting longer. It looks really good. I love how the Prismacolors are coming out. They're just so buttery to sharpen with this sharpener. And of course this one hasn't been sharpened before, so it takes a little bit extra. I wonder if the wood in the Verathins is different too, because it almost feels coarser, even sharpening it in the sharpener, than the Prismacolor wood does. It's a little bit more gritty or bitey. So it's interesting that the actual taper looks the same on both of them, but it always seems like the Verathin has a shorter lead point sticking out of the pencil. I find that really interesting because the shape is actually the same as this one, but the Prismacolor seems to have more lead at the end than the Verathin. And the same thing happened with the number 3. I noticed that the Verathin just seemed to have a shorter lead point than the regular Prismacolor in general. So again, maybe that has something to do with the type of wood that this is built into, or maybe it has something to do with the shape. This is like an octagonal shape. These are a circular shape. So here's a look at those leads, and they look really good. Otherwise, they're very crisp. There doesn't seem to be any real issues in the sharpening. Okay, so now on to number 5. I'm curious to check this out and see how crazy number 5 will be, or if it'll actually be a good size. So we'll start with the Prismacolor this time. I feel like this one's given me a lot of trouble. I don't know why. It just even seems the wood on this pencil isn't as smooth as the other ones. Maybe it was a bad batch or something. Okay, so it's starting to get there. It honestly feels like I can't sharpen anymore off of the sharpener. So I'm going to stop there And we'll do the Verathin. Oh, this one looks really good. So actually it feels like the Verathin has a bit of a longer point on this one. Again, not as much though. You can tell that the Prismacolor Premier definitely has the advantage on the lead length when it's sharpened, at no matter whatever size. But you can see overall they look really crisp. No real flaws or anything in the leads. The sharpening is really nice. You can tell the wood is different just by looking at the close-up version here. You can see that the Verathin on the right is a little bit more coarse of a wood. So let's test these out and see how they do with writing. So we'll start with number 1. I'm just going to color a quick swatch with the Prismacolor. And the Verathins. The line works really nice on this one. It's super fine. Verathins are great for fine detail anyways, but it seems to be a consistent line, especially with the Verathin. And number 3. Number 4. So this one, number 4, actually, I'm just going to show this because the lines on it are a little bit more blunt on the Verathin, but I think that's because the end of the pencil is a little bit choppy. It's not a smooth point, so I feel like I got the blunt end of the pencil. So I feel like even with any Verathins, I think you just have to be careful with sharpening in general, just to make sure that the end of the lead is nice and tapered evenly, and it's not cut off or jagged on any edge. So overall, these all were pretty clean. The Verathins are very precise and sharp for the most part. They give me nice, clean, even lines, with the exception to the one I had trouble with here on number 4. But again, I think that was just the cut of the end of the blade or the end of the lead. You just have to be careful to make sure that it's even before you use it. But I think overall, it's going to be, the only difference it's going to create for you is a matter of preference, and also what will eat into the length of the pencil the least, because you want to preserve your pencils. You don't want them to spend most of the resources being chewed up with the sharpener. So I think that when you receive them, they're usually on the 1 length. This is usually how the Prismacolors come, and I would believe that the reason for doing that is you don't have to cut too deep into the casing to get to the lead. You're not for example, sharpening off a great depth of the lead to get that point. So maybe that's why they come like this. Maybe this is a better way to do it, is to have them on the first setting and have them really short and blunt. And then you can keep sharpening and getting a sharp point and not going too far into the casing or the lead to get there to the next sharp point once you wear those down. I think as a matter of preference, it might be that with the longer leads, it might be easier to see your coloring or your drawing, because you can see more to the point, and it's not bulked up from the casing being so close to the end of the pencil. Whereas you have this tapered edge, you have more of a viewport or a viewpoint to see where you're putting your line work or your coloring. So this is a really interesting look. I had fun doing this. I hope you enjoyed this video, checking out the sharpener. I really like the sharpener. I'm glad I picked it up. It was a whim. My sister was like, oh, you should grab that. And even though I had a sharpener, I did it anyways. I'm glad. It's really great. I really like the different sizing, and it's really smooth to sharpen with. It's very buttery, and I love that it has the little casing. I don't think you could hold a lot of shavings in here, but you know, if you're on the go or something, it's handy to just grab and not have to worry about being over a garbage can. I think my preference would probably be for the 4 or 5 length. I'm not as crazy about the 5, and I find that on the package, I guess it does pretty much match up. It is pretty long, But I think I'm more of a 4 girl. It's I like the tapered, but I don't like it super duper long. So 4 would probably be my number. Which one would you choose? Which one do you like? I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this look at this tgaal sharpener, multi-sharpener. If you did, be sure to give the video a thumbs up. That always helps. And subscribe so you're notified the next time I post a video to my channel. Thank you so much for watching.